What can people who are energy consumers be talking to their state legislators about doing now to secure and strengthen their grid?
Well, some of this stuff is federal in terms of you need to, because if you look at what the EPA is federal,
Right.
so there's no getting around that. But what Congress Republicans have a slight majority. What they can do, and I advocated this in a recent piece, which people can again see at energytalkingpoints.com, is the EPA needs a pause on all new regulations that affect power. Like we're already heading in a terrible direction. They're planning 7 more that are going to make it far worse. So that is something that Republicans should stand up to. That is a hill worth dying on.
But on a state level, I mean, is it really about these attorneys general, suing the federal government? Is it about additional funds and state-based funding and legislation?
So what you can do more on a state level, and Texas is certainly an example of this because they're less controlled by the national grid, is you need to stop rewarding unreliable electricity. You need to start recognizing all the subsidies and mandates for unreliable electricity. And you in particular need to recognize that the grid commits a basic sin of paying the same for unreliable electricity as reliable electricity. And so you need to just tell state regulators. The state regulators do have some discretion here because they have these different utility commissioners and different boards. You need to tell them, stop punishing reliable electricity. You need to value reliability. These states have been engaging in these fantasies that solar and wind is somehow some significant fraction of the reliability of fossil fuels and nuclear, but they're not, because they can go to near zero at any given time. And the attribution of fantasy reliability to these unreliables is a huge problem. And so on the state level, you can tell your public utility commissioners and others, you can say, hey, look, we need to value reliability. Another thing they do is they have these stupid plans that say, hey, we're going to get our electricity from the grid. So instead of having power plants in their state that are reliable, they say, no, we'll get it from the grid. But everyone is planning on getting it from the grid and not producing reliable power. This is actually how we in California had the blackouts in 2020. We were relying on, quote, the grid.